Softly, faintly, I emerged from hypersleep. 100 years of icy darkness behind me, and the setting suns of forgotten worlds. Arriving home was bittersweet. There was no one that I knew, having spent 2 centuries at work. In those 2 centuries, I had only aged by around 8 years. I turned on the radio for my local solar system. An announcement blinked on.
Under the Emergency Counter-Terrorism and Anti-Piracy Ordinance, paragraph 232, it is an offence to possess biological, radioatomic, chemical, or antimatter weapons without permission. The security services have the right to use lethal force without prior warning and to conduct searches at any time.
A shiver ran down my spine. I changed channels but could find no other familiar stations. All quiet in one of the busiest parts of the galaxy. My home planet was a vibrant melting pot of cultures and business. And where had it gone? Silence all around. There it was, still on the map. Images flashed across the screen, showing us devastated city. Melted, eviscerated, the cradle of life torn apart. It remained spinning silently, a phantom apple in space. There'd now be an awkward 2-day approach, a growing sense of impending horror, strained through the mundanity of space. Slowly, quietly, the city approached. My ship's computer could not lock onto my normal docking site. Just a crater. The alternative site was now a slum. Once it had been a thriving market town. Stepping out, I gazed at the ruined skyline. 400 years of progress cooked alive. Nearby was an off-worlding camp. The destitute survivors scrambled to stay or to go, depending on their fate. Some pleaded to be taken to safety. Some pleaded to stay in the safety they had found. Bandits and smugglers watched them through the chain-link wired fence with greedy faces. The guards averted their gaze, lost in space. The nuclear bomb had its victims and its victors. A trail of ramshackle huts led the way to the city centre down a narrow track where there had once been broad avenues and tram lines. Close to the centre, the way was blocked by a crowd of the destitute. One man sat alone, ignoring the reaching hands and hungry cries. Impossible. Sitting in his uniform was my childhood friend. I approached him cautiously, uncertainly. He stared ahead into space, muttering to himself.
It's a sickness. A sickness. What more can I say?
What kind of sickness? He looked up at me slowly, as if fully conscious.
It's not a visible sickness.
He tapped his forehead.
One of the mind.
He squinted at me with recognition.
Not a survivor?
I replied thoughtfully.
An old sailor?
He nodded, wiping away nostalgic tears.
What happened here?
He didn't answer, but turned away and wiped his brow.
I could give you a summary, but it wouldn't do. The streets are filled with tears, the bricks warm with pain and terror, baked in now. It's now a part of every building, a new normal as familiar as breakfast.
He looked up at me, and in that moment he forgot about me forever. He was right, the pain was different now. Once a city of stoic, braving the storm, now a generation of nihilism, sleepwalking from day to day. The hero's journey had ground to a halt. There would be no resolution, no epiphany. The journey home no longer had an end. It was time to move on, time to quit the storm. I turned back to him.
Why did they do it? There's a whole galactic war to provide slaves.
My friend frowned.
We did it to save the world. We had to destroy the evil that was growing here. You did this?
He smiled sadly.
You've been away too long,
he said, and then closed his eyes.